Fuck.
No, wait, no.
We might be able to kill it.
Hey, Buster, kill yourself, maybe. I don't know.
Let's use
Parade wide.
Try to kill the people. Maybe. Try, you got anything else? Woo! Oh, come on!
Oh, let's fucking go! Yeah! Oh shit!
Welcome everybody to MogTalk. If you guys are unfamiliar with MogTalk, it's a show based around the Final Fantasy XIV community discussing everything from Savage Raiding to Chocobo Racing. And today we are going to be talking about the most recent thrown together world race for Criterion Savage that just came out. And we brought on the world first team to talk about their experience with it and the content itself. Before we get too much into it, we'll go round robin. Guys, we're trying the Twitch guest star thing, so it looks a little bit odd. I'm probably going to be editing stuff and throwing stuff on here during the show because I'm a horrible podcast host. But just bear with me as we go through it, and let me know if there's any technical issues you guys see in chat. I'll try to fix it. But let's just start clockwise here. Yuko, do you want to go first? Tell everybody who you are.
I'm Yoko Sugihime from Gilgamesh. Currently a part of Team DN.
That's it?
Oh yeah. I mean, I can talk a bit more. Like, I've been playing since Heaven's Ward. Participated in multiple world races before. This is the first time I've been able to take home the world first, so it's really nice. Feels great. And I'm a scholar main.
Ooh, okay. All right. Lyle, could you go next? I don't know why I can't. My brain stops functioning with that name. All right.
I'm Lyle. I was the fifth man, the support member for the team during this race. And I guess in terms of my experience, I joined during middle of Stormblood, Sigma Escape-ish, and then during the Eden tiers, I think I did a few week ones as a tank main, and then in Asphodelos and DSR, I was playing as tank again, and for this past Savage tier and this Criterion dungeon, I've been doing a lot of support work.
Okay. All right. Alice?
Hello, I'm Alice. I've been playing since AlphaScape, where I started during AlphaScape. Started on healer, played that for a long time, and basically until I joined DN, and then played Fizzrain for them, and that during Criterion. So, yeah.
Okay. Ken?
Hello, I'm Death Snail, tank main. Big MMO player. Been playing MMOs for like 20-something years. Basically, I started 14 in August 2020, so 5.3. I loved Shiva. That was my favorite fight. It's still my favorite fight. But yeah, I guess I mostly did parsing in Shadowbringers. And then through parsing, I found some people and we made a team. And then, yeah, in 6.0, started actually trying out world racing, got world 9th, and then got 7th in 6.2. And then here we get world first. So, yeah.
There you go. Ignis?
Hello, I'm Ignis. I currently play melee for this team, and I'm also from Team DN, where I play melee. I guess I've been a career melee since I've started playing, and that was since around A Realm Reborn, so I've been around for a while now in the game. I've been world progging since Sigma Escape, so
Okay.
I have a bit of experience there, and yeah.
You know, I'm going to be honest. It feels kind of weird for when someone's saying they've done world prog since Sigma Escape, and they have a bit of experience. It almost feels like that when they say that, you know, I played. I got my first console was a PlayStation 3. And you're like, oh shit, I'm old as shit.
The boomer.
Yeah, boomer, man. Gosh. Well, thank you guys for coming on the show. This race was like a whole experience. I didn't know what to expect. I was on the edge of just sleeping and not paying attention to it. But I'm glad I didn't, because this seems like, at least, that it's like a new format for people to actually race, because it's just long enough to where I think you'll know who's first, right? Extremes and stuff like that, you have no clue. People just race out. They clear it within an hour or two, a handful of pools. You can kind of guess who will be first on that. But with this, it was like just enough time to be able to kind of predict that whoever is, first says they clear it will probably be the first person to clear it. Did you guys feel pretty good doing the race? Did you feel like it was a legit race?
Yes, definitely.
Okay.
Yeah, I think the competition was pretty healthy. So.
Yeah, for sure. We saw some pretty big names who are also competing. So, I mean, seeing that kind of gets you excited, right? Because you're like, okay, this is a real race. We got some actual real competition here. And it honestly just felt nice, right? Like, the dungeon itself didn't feel like really easy like an extreme. So,
yeah. I mean, it was... I was kind of expecting people to kind of roll over some of this stuff. But to see people die to a gerbil for like an hour or two, that did feel
that was so hard.
Man, all right. So before we get too much into it, let me make sure I don't like completely skip around all my super planned content and questions and everything. I guess, did you have any expectations for what you were going to get into, or were you just like, I guess we'll find out? No,
we didn't know what to expect.
I think.
Go
Go
ahead, Iggy.
I was just gonna say, I think as a team, personally, I didn't expect much out of, trying this content, because it just sort of came unexpectedly, and the fact that even, it dropped on the week of week 8, a lot of people couldn't actually be fully prepared for it, as in, because that's the week where you're able to actually buy a weapon from the Savage tier. And a lot of people ended up actually just not going in to the content fully BIS. So that was also a factor that we had in mind. And just no expectations, just wanted to do our best, I guess, as a foreman.
That is actually a really good point. With gear and everything else. I mean, technically you could just do 8 raids and have all your 8 different alts, and have all your characters completely geared the first week or so, right?
Kindred.
Yeah. But
I think they do quad splits.
Yeah, quads. So
it's crazy.
But yeah, it does make sense that for, I guess, the average kind of raider that's going in, even just like week 1 clearers and everything else, people who aren't like super hardcore might not be best in slot by the time this content came out. I don't know if Square Enix put any thought into that at all, or they're just like, I don't think they cared. They were just, this is more of a test to see how it goes too. But I guess that is something that we'll have to think about going forward in the future, doing these, right? If we hit another situation to where it's right after a Savage, everyone's going to think, well, now I have to make sure I stay on top of getting all my gear and get best in slot for the next little mini race that'll come up.
Yeah, they should probably delay it a little bit. Like, it's very awkward to come out on the 8th week. Like, we couldn't even do our 8th week clears, which is like kind of annoying because you miss like your 8th book, which is really good because you get extra twine, extra coating, all that. But yeah.
That's a good point. But again, like, didn't they say they were going to do like 2 more or something, and they were going to do it like at the end of the expansion?
I would hope so. It was really fun, so I would hope there's more of this kind of content.
But if it's like right at the end of the expansion, it's probably, well, I don't know. Maybe if it's going after 6-4, maybe it would line up. Did they say 8-4? Jesus Christ! I was about to say, man, am I that stupid?
Well, I'm sure as long as it's not like on the 8th week of Savage release, it'll be fine.
Okay.
But like this week, it's the 8th week. It is really difficult, and we actually had to do like splits the week before to get everyone their weapon. And I was fully prepared to just go in there with like a Sage Tome weapon, and not even fully bis. So.
Hey man, that's what I'm rocking right now. So it's working out great. For me.
Yeah, I know that feeling.
But when I guess that makes sense with the gear and everything. Do you think 100% you have to be best in slot to be like competitive going into this?
Competitive? Yes, because most of the teams that cleared the normal version early skipped the last mechanic, but I didn't necessarily agree with that, but I don't know how tight the end range is if you're 620, for example. And I don't really recommend trying because it is a big time investment.
What is that in rage again? It's is it
24 minutes?
24?
24 minutes, yeah.
Yeah. That's such a weird number for some reason for them to decide, yeah, exactly 24 minutes is how long it should take you to clear this.
It's surprisingly well tuned despite being such an odd number.
They probably like banged their head against it multiple times and they're like, okay, we're getting it around 23 something, 24, cut it off, we're good.
Yeah, probably.
Oh man,
I have a lot of mixed feelings about this content in particular, and I'm not sure what they're going to do with it going forward, but delaying it at least past week 8 seems like they just should do it.
Just a
There's
small
no reason not to.
Yeah.
Maybe 12.
So, I mean, when we expect the next patch to come in is in January, right? And so this isn't like a huge... I mean, for some groups, probably for me, this would take a long time to get through and clear for a handful of groups and everything. But, I mean, after the strats are out, I guess that's will determine the difficulty for a lot of different groups too, right?
Yeah.
I mean, and they're out there and everything. I don't know how solidified the strats are, if everybody's going to be doing... what's that strat of your favorite fight of Shiva that everyone did?
Sharingan or something.
With the
Lights Rampant?
Yeah, Lights Rampant.
Oh. Yeah.
I can't remember the name.
Ayatori or Sharingan.
No, that was a good one, right? The other one was
yeah.
what everyone else did in Party Finder.
He's the YouTube. Oh no. I'm blanking on his name.
I do feel like shit right now.
Someone in chat knows. Ilya. Yeah, that's it. Yeah.
Ilya, yeah.
Ilya Lights Rampant.
Yeah, I think those strats might be out. We don't have the optimized strats out yet. Maybe they are. I don't know. But yeah. So we have about 2 months left. I think it would have been a little bit better to hold it off until like one more minor patch out. To give everybody more time to do Savage and kind of go at their own pace. And then they'd kind of hit this dead spot where they're like, okay, well, I need some content. And Savage is getting a little old maybe. And then they could go into it. So I do agree with you guys. I do think an extra, I don't know, at least 2 to 4 weeks would have been good for this.
I think maybe they were concerned a little bit because it seemed like they were trying to do a lot of job balancing in the next patch. And then when 6.3 came by, it also sounded like they're going to do a little bit of reworking on some of the jobs. So maybe that was part of their consideration putting it out this early.
Yeah. I mean, and that's a good point. You don't want it close to a major patch, but at the same time, it's like it's not small content, but it's smaller than like Savage, right? It's not like super major. Yeah. I feel like right in the middle would have been great. This was pretty soon after. Well, I don't know. 8 weeks is right in the middle, supposedly, all right? Now, because they do 4 months.
Just do it week 9 or something.
Yeah. Week 9. Just do week 9. Yeah, fuck it.
Yeah.
Yeah, week 9.
Okay. I guess another question here is, do you feel like this kind of content, what you're imagining as Savage content in general for dungeons, making it about as long as it took to clear, that this is probably appropriate for this type of content, or what you would be looking for? Like you would want a Savage dungeon to be about 9 hours to get figured out and cleared.
Yes, I remember when we were talking about it. I predicted 8 hours, and Lyle predicted 10, and it was right in the middle of that. So, like this guesstimate was based on like basically it should be easier by default for 4 people to execute a mechanic. when compared to 8.
Mhm.
That's pretty much all it was based on.
Yeah, yeah. No, that does make sense. So I guess like that does dive a little bit into the dynamic of 4 people versus 8 people going in and trying to figure out difficult mechanics. You just have 4 less people who could have a issue or could have a brain block towards the mechanic and can't figure it out, right? But I don't know. What else, like difference-wise, between 4 and 8 people do you think? Is it just overall easier to communicate? Like, what makes it so much easier?
I think there's a lot. The communication is a lot easier, definitely, because you don't have 8 people trying to figure out everything together. Who doesn't know what? Who doesn't know what else? And who actually does know this stuff? But with 4 people, I would imagine you can actually push a lot of different mechanics, similar to those we saw in DRS and the Delubrum Reginate Savage, right? You can push a lot of more patterns onto 4 people compared to 8. With 8, if you make it completely random, then it becomes a lot harder. Like, imagine doing all these Savage Raid mechanics and it's just complete random. It's not like the healers get this, the tanks get this, right? It's just completely random. That's one thing that they did do well with this, and I can't remember if there are too many mechanics this time around that were not completely random. I think most of them were in the Criterion Savage.
Do you feel like with the changes they made to try to accommodate for that smaller party size and adding the difficulty, for example, taking the reses away, did the trick with making it a little bit more of a... Of course, it made it more difficult, but was that like a requirement? Do you think if they didn't take raises away, it would have been kind of a joke?
I wouldn't say a joke because, I mean, Criterion Normal is still pretty difficult, even if you have like 1 res per person, right? Savage made it more feel like a ultimate consistency check because like 24 minutes of basically 0 mistakes from the 0 personal responsibility mistakes. So I do think that the no deaths extended the lifespan by quite a bit, but at the same time I feel like Criterion Normal was tuned very well and it had a very good difficulty.
Okay, that's right. Like everybody could res, right? Everybody had a res button on them.
Yeah.
So that was the biggest concern Yoshida always said every single time it was brought up. Is like, well, if the healer dies, you're screwed. So I guess that was like his way to get around it and make it work. And the healer died in your group, right? Right at the end. But
yeah,
but we couldn't res in Savage. But
yeah, you could have res in Savage anyways. But you were able to live, which is actually kind of impressive that you guys were able to live for that long. How long was that? That was like 20, 30 seconds or so on the boss before...
yeah, at least 30.
Yeah?
Yeah, Iggy had his burst up. He was bursting. And he did LB. It was pretty sick.
Yeah, the second wind is third eye proc too.
Lived the raid wide with what, 8k HP or something? It's pretty close.
Yeah. Oh man. All right. So let me go back to my doc. Length of time, we're thinking pretty much appropriate. Nothing like this is kind of where we would want to hit it. Do you think that it? I'm not trying to say anything like if like you guys didn't clear it. Like if someone else came in and they were fully focused, they'd clear it faster or anything. But do you think with like more people going into the race and everything else, that it would like be 9 hours? Like people taking it as seriously as maybe. I don't want to say they should have, but like everyone taking it seriously all at the same time. Maybe this would have been like 6-7 hour content.
I think the next time a Criterion dungeon comes out, we'll know the format, like so it'll be a lot more familiar. So you kind of know like what to prepare. So it should be faster, I would assume. But at the end of the day, it's like a big consistency check, and like I don't know, you can just die sometimes. Like things happen, so like who knows how long it could take for the first clear. Realistically,
that is actually a really good question. When we're talking about ultimate and savage clears that you guys do, how many times does someone die when you get your first clear on those?
Usually a lot. I mean, it depends, I guess, but it depends on the fight. But it'd be a lot.
That is actually a really good thought because Savage is such a man. I don't. I'll bring it up now because it was bugging me the entire time I'm watching this. We're all watching you guys do it. And by the way, congratulations on being literally the first stream to get world first on any content that's being tracked like that. No one else has done that on stream so far, I think, for any content. The closest was world second, I think, for T, right? And that was it. But with this content here, we were all watching the boss die, and we're thinking, is that it? Is there something else?
That too. Alice thought it was over.
Yeah, we thought that too, because there's no cutscene. We were like, well, is it dead? It's dead?
Yeah.
Well, there's no cutscene.
There's no
We just
like.
got the achievement.
Yeah, it's just an achievement pops up.
Another
There's
boss
nothing
to
like.
just.
Go ahead. Sorry.
I was hoping for another boss to just like show up.
Oh,
I thought there was, right? Because Preach was doing his own stream, and he was dedicated to doing the variant stuff and just destroying that and going through it as quickly as possible. And there's a secret boss in variant. And so that pops up. It's like a mammoth version of Ravana or something. And we were kind of expecting that dude to pop out right at the end.
yeah.
But it didn't happen. It just ended. It's a little anticlimactic, but
Yeah. There's no cutscene either. It's just like
yeah,
you just kill it.
it feels weird.
They're saving him for Criterion's ultimate.
Oh, ultimate.
Ooh.
Yeah, ultimate Criterion.
I don't think that we'll ever see that. I think they're
That
done.
would be insane.
Yeah.
No deaths on an ultimate.
Every time I talk to Yoshida now, I'll be like, when are we going to have 4-man ultimate? Guy will kill me. But yeah, no, with that, did you want there to be something else after? Like another boss, another anything after it died?
It was kind of weird how Savage was like pretty close to the normal version, but we kind of expected it. It would have been interesting if they at least added like something like a new mechanic or like a new boss. I don't know, but yeah.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
I'm not sure because if you add another boss at the end, then this this content becomes like
That's true.
exponentially harder or something.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
That's what we were all
Progging that
direly
is-
afraid of, right? We were like, if they add in extra boss, add in 5 more days.
Yeah,
yeah.
that is true. It would make it a lot more difficult for sure.
Yeah. Because
I'm not sure.
It was.
I remember
Go
they
ahead.
put like a checkpoint. Put like a checkpoint after you do all the.
Yeah.
But then you have a 24-minute door boss. That's longer than an ultimate fight.
24-minute door boss. Oh god.
Yeah, the pull is already so long too. It's like this must be the
That's
end.
true.
Yeah. If they added something else at the end, it would have been masochistic to want to go in there. And I expected. I honestly expected if something did show up, you guys were all just going to log off and be done. Just be like, all right, this is all I can take for today. And some people did that, though. Like, they cleared it, and then they're like, okay, well, we're done, guys. I don't know if we want to do a consistency check. Criterion on its own was fun. It was awesome to kind of go through that and learn all the mechanics, and you could kind of pace yourself with that too. I guess let's talk about that experience too. Going through Criterion normal, did that feel like just learning a Savage fight in a way, or learning 4 small mini Savage fights?
I'd say it's between Extreme and Savage, personally. That hamster was really... It was funny because, like, the hamster, like... When we were first progging it, we were like, is this actually, like, normal mode? Like, the first boss? This is crazy. Because,
I
like,
think we
I
were
don't
all
know.
thinking the same thing in that regard. It's like it was unexpectedly hard because
Yeah.
we went into it and we were like, this is just normal mode. We're probably just going to one-shot everything. And that was
Yeah.
not the case. So
Yeah. So I actually didn't look into this, but how many more extra mechanics and puzzle situations did you have to figure out from going from variant to Criterion?
Variant to Criterion?
yeah.
Or
Variant, you just kind of cruise past it, right? But then when you get into Criterion, they start making it the difficult mechanics and everything else.
We only fought the second boss in Variant.
Yeah.
So,
I guess that's a good point.
yeah, we didn't see the hamster in the Variant version.
I actually
But-
was sorry, you can go.
I was just gonna say, like, he was pretty good for giving us mechanics. Like, it was probably one of the better ones to pick. So yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I was gonna say when we reviewed our stuff, since we went to the middle boss, it actually showed the charging up, like the 1, 2, 3 charging up, and I would say that's probably one of the best things, like the best options out of the 3 that we could have gotten for variants to normal Criterion, because it showed a mechanic that wouldn't necessarily be super obvious in Savage since there's no gauge, right?
Mm.
But in normal mode, there is a gauge that visibly shows it up. But on the other 2 bosses, the first route and the third route, they all have a lot of mechanics that we've possibly seen in the past, or that you can see one time and you can instantly know about what to do.
Oh, that makes
So
sense.
I think that was good.
Yeah, and so I did notice a lot of streams went back to I don't know if they went to variant. They probably went to normal. And they were trying to practice to get better at it
A
before
lot of
going into
people did
Savage.
that. Yeah.
Yeah.
But it would make sense for, you know, if they wanted to go do variant a couple of times and just see a couple of these bosses before going into Criterion normal. That seems like a legitimate strategy. It's just to make sure you catch all those telegraphs and everything, right? That might be removed, and then when you go into Criterion normal, you'll kind of have a decent idea what that should look like.
If you're not racing, definitely. Yeah.
Yeah.
If you're just like trying to prep for it. Yeah.
But if you're racing, screw it.
Yeah. Just go.
Yeah, screw
You
it.
just go.
Send it.
Oh, man.
But if you're not racing, you should definitely do all the variants. We did that after. It was a lot of fun actually, and I really liked how they had different mechanics for like each entry, and each of those mechanics were incorporated into Criterion. I thought that was really creative, and I really liked that.
Yeah, it was pretty awesome. Like, I don't know. I feel like they put a lot of work into these bosses. Did you guys feel like that, or am I just like being like impressed for no reason at all?
Mr. Ozma.
Did they say he was actually doing, or are we just all making a good guess?
I think I heard somewhere that Mr. Ozma was doing it, so like it really wouldn't surprise me because I do feel like a lot of thought went into these bosses.
Yeah. It scares me because I feel like we're going to be underwhelmed on the next ones. Because it'll be
I'm
towards the
hoping-
end of the expansion, right? And they're like, all right, let's throw some shit out there because we're working on the next expansion.
I'm hoping this is just the beginning of this content because I think 4-man content has a lot of potential.
I think it also has it's a very good segue for people who aren't used to Savage, right? Who don't do Savage raids to get into sort of that Savage mindset into, you know, do I like Savage? Do I not like Savage? Without, you know, playing with 7 other people. You only play with like, you know, find 3 of your friends, go in, have a good time.
Hey, man, some people who can't find 7 friends can't find 3 friends. So,
Party Finder's there for you.
I mean, yeah, Party Finder is like your abusive friend, right?
That's my home. That's my second static.
I love it, man. Healing in
Not
Party
for me.
Finder is a trip, dude. Like, it is the most fun I've had. But I do want to ask about the race too. When you guys went into it, were you like, all right, let's win this. We're gonna fucking take this home, right? Or were you like, all right, let's try it and just see how it goes?
I
I'll
think
let
we were
these
just
guys go
like, we're gonna
first.
try it. Yeah. I think
Yeah.
we had expectations. We wanted to bring it home. We wanted to get first. But at the same time, there is just so much unknown about this entire 4-man content that it's hard to make an accurate guess. But we knew individually we are very, very skilled. So we thought, okay, there might be less of an emphasis on party mechanics and more of an emphasis on individual mechanics. And I think to some degree we were correct about that. So I think that did help like bolster our confidence a bit.
Okay.
I mean, we were definitely trying our hardest. Like, we were not like taking this content lightly. We prepped properly for it. We were ready to go at least 2 days. So, yeah, we were prepared.
You had a 5th man.
Yep, exactly.
I can't remember. I think a lot of groups did actually have. They had either 5 or 8 or 10 people all there. The Discords looked like a normal raid group, but it was just still going into this content. I I do want to ask, how did that feel being like the fifth man in there? Did you feel like this was kind of still just as challenging as maybe trying to figure out like raid or savage content from an outside perspective?
I feel like it was mostly the same. From my perspective, like the hamster, the first boss, was sort of in design. It was like a first floor boss, so like they could have like gone through a lot of it. Sometimes there are some patterns that come up, right? Like the second mechanic with the four palms, and maybe a little bit more diagramming helps there, a little bit more figuring out on the back end. The second boss was very much like floor 2, floor 3, which is typically just you read what's happening and you do it, right? And then the last boss was a lot more puzzles, and I think having someone discuss it with them, I think it definitely helps most of the time, especially when you get to the fourth floor. Lots of the times having someone that isn't as tired, as focused on this is happening, that is happening, right? Someone that's got a higher level view, I guess. I think that always helps.
Yeah. Man. All right, I do want to go through these bosses. I probably we should do this in order too, because there's just a lot to unload. The one that like rings home so much is like the hamster, man. Like it just Silky is like this big destroyer of groups, it seems like, because it wasn't like a first boss where you just kind of walk over it. It felt, I don't know, it kind of felt a little out of order. I don't feel like Silky maybe should have been the first one. What do you guys think about the hamster?
I thought it was the second most difficult one for sure. Like the second boss felt really simple, but yeah.
I'm terrible at remembering mechanic names, but the mechanic where it's either in safe or intercard safe is probably the hardest mechanic in the dungeon.
Yeah.
I'm gonna be honest, watching that, I had no clue what the fuck was going on. I would just sit there and then like the whole there's like 10 different colors going out and everyone just dies. That had to have been a pain in the ass to try to figure out all the different variations and everything that could happen with it.
Oh, the real pain was the very first mechanic, like the stack, where it would be ice. We that was difficult. You have to move to not get frozen. It's like, okay, it's a stack and we have to move.
So you all spin in circles around each other.
We didn't figure it
First
out.
time that happened in the game. Has that happened in any like a stack that you had to move in? I don't think that's anywhere else, right?
No,
It's unique.
that was the first time they ever like made a mechanic that way.
In the future, they're gonna do pyretic.
Stack. And it was if you noticed as well, like it was a different type of stack marker. Like it wasn't just your normal, stack, which we saw also in the other boss. But like, yeah, it was unique.
Was it a generous stack, or did you have to like be pretty close for it?
Stack,
I don't know.
well, so here's how that stack works. That stack works is by it targets a single player, I think anyone but the tank, and the stack goes on until it hits that player. So that player has to be at the very back of the stack. If anyone is behind them, they are not counted inside the stack. So it's not like a line. It's more like a rectangle that extends outward towards the person. And we thought it was a wild charge, but it's not.
That is weird. All right.
Definitely different, yeah.
I'm trying to. So it's a rectangle, like a bit. How big of a rectangle is it? It's like
it's like a tiny rectangle that just like extends however long the person is far. But anyone who's behind it obviously does not get hit. And if anyone's behind it and doesn't get hit, it's like a 3-man stack. There's a good chance you might just drop dead in Savage.
Okay. Okay, I got it in my head. I got it in my head now. Sorry, it took me a second. But that, I don't know, man. How hard was it for you guys to figure out like the different? I'm trying to think of the right way to phrase it. Like how they were actually determining how the mechanics were going to come out, or the mouse kind of you had to let it stomp on a different puff or anything, before you actually got into that mechanic. Because I just showed that in a. They did show that in the live letter or something, right? At some preview point, they were showing the boss off and they were examining how the mechanics work. Did you guys analyze any of that?
A little bit. Alice,
Yeah,
you
we
can
did.
talk.
We did like right before, like pretty much just. I think there's just a pull where he pulls it until Silky does the swipe, and that's literally all you see. So you can tell that the boss is changing the colors of the palms, but that's all you see. I don't think we had much trouble figuring out any mechanic other than you have to move during the stack, but we were just mitigating through it.
So it was pretty much, for you guys, it wasn't difficult to figure out. The execution of it overall was hard?
It's just a
Yeah.
one gimmick of freezing, yeah.
Okay. Anything else you guys want to talk about on the hamster? Did you notice that it seemed like a dead mouse was attacking you the entire time?
It looked
I didn't know until after.
weird. I mean, it looks a little weird, but I never thought of it. I was more focused on like, what are the mechanics? What it's gonna do next?
Yeah.
Now that I went back in, it's like that's kind of creepy.
Yeah, the way it moves is kind of odd. You have to pay attention to it. Like it looks like it's being dragged around by the orb on the tail.
Yeah, I thought it was weird. You know, the mouse is being swept across the floor. Like, what is happening? I thought
Yeah.
the mouse was the boss.
Yeah. I looked at that. I was like, that is not it rolling on its back. That is not how something rolls on its back. Man. All right. So the robot you guys had a little bit more experience with, because that was the variant boss that you got to see, and so you had a little bit of insight going into it. I feel like that one overall was the easiest for most groups. And it looks like you guys kind of all agree on that too.
Yeah.
For sure.
Okay. Was there anything about that fight you found a little difficult?
I mean, personally, the cleaves were kind of difficult for me, but I just followed Yoko because he he knew it.
Yeah,
So-
Yoko did that really well and caught on really quick.
Okay. So you guys just followed a leader. You're just
Yeah.
Yep.
fair.
I got a Dorito on my head.
So how'd you figure it out, Yoke?
Well, like we said, we got it in the variant, which to me it was like, okay, we saw this boss before, and it's charging up. And the way I helped alleviate some brain power from me is every time it charged up one, there are lines on the floor. So I followed those lines on the floor, and if one of the statues stopped, I stopped going back on that axis, and I only followed the other axis, which is still charging up. So I basically just moved along with the charging, so I would always be in the correct place.
Okay.
I don't know if people know this either, like if it's public information widely spread yet, but the boss actually makes a different animation when it's done charging. Like it's more orange to show that it's done. And that actually makes the mechanic quite a bit easier.
Yeah.
I actually didn't think about that. Yeah, I don't remember seeing that at all. Did you guys realize that while you were progging, or is that like something you found that way after? Okay.
It was like an intuitive thing. Like I thought maybe it was happening, but didn't really care during the time.
I mean, I noticed the color change, but like, I didn't actually know the mechanic. I was just watching. And I was like, "Yoko, you're good." And Yoko was like, "Yeah." I'm like, "Okay, I'll go do something else."
But the tooltip is wrong, right? For that other mechanic in the fight where you change your
for the
color.
golden and silver one. The tooltip's wrong.
Wait,
In
what's
English
wrong with
only.
it?
The English tooltip for the golden flame mechanic is incorrect. It tells you to get hit by gold if you're gold, but you're supposed to get hit by the opposite. Apparently, it's only broken in English. In every other language, it's correct. So
Oh,
do
I
not
think I
read your
actually
tooltips.
Yeah, I saw that post-it. I think Sophia posted that out or something, or was that a different one?
Yes, Fia
I
tweeted
think you
about
did,
it.
yeah.
Yeah. And then someone from SE acknowledged it and said it was going to be fixed in a hotfix. So that's good.
It didn't really trip us up though, because I remember like when we saw the mechanic, it's just like we like tried both the first time we saw it, and so we had video evidence of which one worked.
Yeah. Who
Yeah.
reads tooltips
We just
anyways,
ignored
right?
we just ignored it.
Yeah. That's crazy, dude. Jesus Christ. But I mean, like, that's one of those things where luckily you get it wrong, then you just try it the other way, and then it's right? Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you guys account for that when you're racing? Are you like, there's a chance this tooltip's going to be broken?
Not
Usually
generally.
no.
No.
Okay. But
I don't
now,
think it crossed our mind.
I mean, before we see the tooltip, I know Alice is always like, it's gonna be 50-50. It's either the same or the opposite.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, what else about this? This one, for some reason, he doesn't seem like a very impressive, like, interesting boss, because I've seen this, this boss before multiple times. It wasn't like something that it felt like just I don't know what to call it, but just like an intermission between the actual fight at the end. Would you guys all feel like that too? I guess it sounds like it's just not that. I mean, it had a couple of neat things, but it wasn't like something that stood out to you. Yeah?
Personally, I think
Yeah.
it's the easiest for sure.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, fuck that, dude. Let's talk about the last boss. Because that's the one that kind of tripped up a lot of people. I mean, you've seen this avatar before. It wasn't like anything, or this model of this guy, it wasn't anything too crazy, but the mechanics seemed a little intense for this one. So just right off the bat, tell me how you guys felt going into that fight, and like the first roadblock. What would you say that was?
I mean, it's been a while since we got teleport mechanics and rotating mechanics, I feel like.
Teleport rotations, man. I mean, what was that? Was it E7S?
Yeah,
Yeah.
E7.
Teleport,
That was the
yeah.
last time, I
They
think.
did that.
Yeah. Holy crap, man.
It must have been tripwires though, because we were stuck on that for a while. I think most people were.
Mm.
Yeah.
The
Yeah, the
first
1, 2,
set.
3, 4.
I'm going to be honest, like watching that, it took me a while to figure out what was happening until I started seeing debuffs on everybody. And like, I guess you just have to match it up and figure it out and try to find the safe spots after that. Have we seen anything like that before in a previous fight?
I think that was new. It looked new.
I feel like it's almost like a twist on Limit Cut, almost. But yeah, I think it's a very new implementation of how they did it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Man, that's crazy. I didn't expect one single new mechanic out of this entire dungeon.
Yeah.
Neither did I.
I was pleasantly surprised.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
Pretty cool. I like that mechanic.
Yeah. Well,
It was tough to prog.
yeah.
It was, yeah.
Especially if you get stuck on the hamster for too long, right? And then you like get up there and you have like 30 minutes to prog on it.
I don't think we did that bad at reclearing though, or getting back there, I should say.
That's good because a lot of groups did 100%.
The first time we did, I remember.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if we're remembering this correctly, but I feel like we had a lot of trouble in the first boss, bro.
The first boss, but I think it was only the first time we went back in that it was a little bit of trouble. But past that, I think it went pretty well. No.
Yeah, well,
Can't
because like
remember.
this was pretty easy compared to the first boss. Yeah, that's true.
Well, I guess regarding the first boss, actually, I don't know if I should keep this for Savage. I guess it's good at time now. Before we went into Savage, we made sure to explicitly state what we wanted to do for it was the cardinal ice pattern or something. One of them was giving us a lot of trouble, so we just took the time to like sit there and be like, make sure you know what to do here.
Mm-hmm. No, we could talk about like again the don't follow the order of a guide. It's just there. The doc's just there to be a point to look at topics. But yeah, I mean, talking about Savage and everything, it's weird. We'll get into the differences then. But yeah, I think that there are certain mechanics that you see when you're going through it, and you're just like, I feel like I know. Now I'm in that sticky spot you just put me in, Alice. Man, all right. So Savage, when you're going into it and you're going through normal, and you're like, all right, remember these mechanics and everything else. were you kind of expecting those mechanics to change up a little bit?
No, because
No?
Lyle told us they didn't. He just looked at someone else and they said they didn't. So as soon as the first boss was the same, we just assumed it would all be the same.
Yeah.
I think I was watching Kindred, and I didn't see anything weird happen. So
Yeah. Well, I mean, okay, so before Kindred got there, all right, did you think there was a possibility they were going to kind of shake up with Savage and everything else afterwards?
Yes.
I did.
Personally,
Yeah.
I didn't think so. Like, if you watch our VOD, I was like, I think we should take the time to learn this last mechanic. But the reason I thought that was because in my mind, I'm just like, this is going to be a long pull. Like, you're basically pulling for like 20 something minutes, and it's now deathless because it just like clicked while we were on the last boss that it's like, if anyone dies, you have to restart. So it just seemed a little excessive for such a sudden burst of content.
So are you saying on that last boss in normal Criterion, you guys were like, all right, let's go through it and just sit there and try to completely analyze all of these mechanics. Killing it's great, but learning is better.
I pushed for that, but Lyle inevitably made the call that we should just go for the kill, which is fine. I'm not like against it. I'm just saying there was that conversation.
Okay. Because again, we did see a lot of people go back to normal and go back and practice a lot of these fights afterwards. So,
I mean, they did really well with that, I think. I don't think they went into normal after doing Savage, right? Or after going Savage for the first time. I think you guys just went straight.
no, that
Yeah, after we cleared normal, we went straight into Savage, and we never went back to normal.
Yeah.
and that was the insane part, right? When you think about that, you go back and you're just like, well, we got through it all this time. Maybe you'll understand the gerbil a little bit. Maybe you'll understand, the robot a little bit. But that last boss, sometimes you clear it and you're like, well, we just got the right set of mechanics that we all understood, and it worked out, right?
Yeah. The last boss, the last mechanic, that was actually our first time like doing it with like the known strategy. Like that was the second time we actually got there. But the first time we got there, we didn't really know what to do because we never got there before. So but then the second time we had like I think we had a video of like someone doing it, and we're like, okay, we're just gonna copy their strat. And
Yeah. And that's the
Just pulled
crazy
it off.
thing about this content, right? Is that you're going into it, and streaming is, I guess, kind of a big deal at that point, because you can have your fifth man or whoever go back and analyze all this stuff while you guys are trying to get to the end again, and kind of voice and call that stuff out when you're actually at the fight. It's just such a strange concept. It's not strange. It's different. It's a different version of what a world race looks like, because there's just so many other things to consider. When you go in and you clear it for the first time, you could have been the very first team to clear it, right? But that doesn't mean you'll be the most consistent team that's able to go back and clear it one more time while trying to make sure you understand the ads and what to do with the ads, I guess, between the bosses. But
yeah, we were quite behind like for the normal mode. I think we were like an hour behind the first place, but I think that's because we like took time to like get some strategies down. We took a lot more time to like make sure everything was correct, and like we all knew what to do so that we didn't die.
And that's a
in
scary
Savage.
call, because again, you don't know what Savage looks like. You don't know if that's like kind of sort of a waste of time, because maybe we'll go into Savage and the mechanics all differ, right? And they like change and make different variations for all of it. But now you know, and now going forward, you can kind of develop like what's the best way to tackle this, and how do we handle learning this mechanics. For the last home run of doing this, just one run, man. It's gonna be crazy if like in one of the next races someone clears the normal and then they immediately go back and clear a Savage like right after with no time in between.
As long as you see all the mechanics, I entirely think that's possible.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But most people didn't see the last mechanic.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, and so the other thing with that too is if you struggled going through this, you've practiced these fights more, and you have a little bit more consistency going through Savage. And, man, it's so weird.
An interesting dynamic. Like, technically, not clearing normal first is like better because you get more consistent at the bosses.
Yeah, and if you struggled with that last boss a lot, you have a higher chance of getting it at the end too. But then you get all the, no matter what, there's going to be a couple of deaths, I assume, from the ads and everything. Did you feel like the ads, now that you've done it and you have an understanding of it, if you went into another Criterion dungeon, would you die to the ads, or the ads are pretty much straightforward with what they are difficult-wise now, or the difficulty of it?
I definitely know to pre-pop my mitt now. I remember the first one we pulled, I like just instantly just died. I was like, okay, well, got to pre-pull mitt.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think in future Criterions it should be a lot more straightforward, because in normal mode it shows you all of their mechanics, and like, I mean, I guess the one exception is the tank buster in Savage from the first flower ad.
Mhm.
Like, you basically have to invuln that thing. It hits really hard. So like, I guess maybe they could throw in a wrench with something like that. But I guess, I don't know. It depends how many like tank busters there are, like if it's free to invuln or not on the ads and stuff. But yeah.
How do you feel about challenging ads like that? Was it something that you're like, I'm glad it's here, or you're like, this is kind of just stupid, I don't really care about them throwing in challenging ads? You would wish it would have been just an easy pull and go to the boss?
As a healer, I simultaneously like that at the very least ads are not just like trash and you can just brain dead run through them. But at the same time, casting back to back heals is also very taxing. There are some pulls where I just cast like Adlo like 7 GCDs in a row because they just chunk Ken for like half his HP.
It was so satisfying. I'm gonna be honest, watching groups pull and immediately die to trash, just not knowing what to expect.
Yeah. I've seen some people doing some crazy strats for the ads after the second boss. They're like dragging the ads like all the way along. Like the melees basically like can't hit the ads that they're attacking because there's like another ad on top of it. I don't know. There was some crazy strats
House
out
of
there.
Dungeon strats, dude.
Yeah, just kite. Just keep kiting.
Yeah. Oh, that is interesting.
I think it was good that they have mechanics. I like that. So that was nice.
I mean, it's always
I think it was.
Go ahead.
Yeah, I think it was good that they were difficult. I think it's something that we haven't seen in 14 really. They hit pretty much as hard as Savage Raid bosses, and put that on top of the time limit. Now you have to optimize over that, which is something I really don't think many people have experience with in the community.
Yeah. From playing other MMOs and stuff that actually have challenging dungeons, yeah. I remember back in the day with A Realm Reborn, there was a handful of dungeons that had their difficulties and challenges and everything else, and everyone was still kind of learning the game, and it wasn't really exactly the same as it is today. And some of those dungeons you could say, all right, there's some difficulty in there and everything with the ads. It wasn't just straight wall to wall. I mean, the really good players were always wall to wall. It just is what it is. But when we're talking about it now, you don't have to be good at the game to do wall to wall in dungeons now. You brain dead.
Not
Maybe
really.
some of them. Mount Gagazet, maybe, or whatever it's called. There's a couple that are pretty difficult, but
I don't know, man. It just seems so easy now. It's ridiculous. Bees used to be a big deal. You used to have to kill those things. What was it? I'm trying to remember with the dungeon. They had a couple of bees in there, and it held.
Temple of Karn.
It wasn't
Final
Karn. It was like the
Sting.
level 50 version of it, and then there was like a little. There's 3 walls you had to fight. At the same time, I'm trying to remember exactly that fight. And then there was one with the wall that was spinning. It was the first time you saw the wall spin back and forth a little bit, and it could knock you off the side and kill you from fall damage.
What?
I think so.
I don't even know what that is.
It was a while back. But yeah, they did some stuff that made the dungeons not super easy. Yeah, I can't. People are saying names of dungeons, and I can't tell you. I can't confirm it. None of it rings a bell with associating the name with the actual dungeon because it's been so long. Not a lot of people don't remember those 50-man level 50 dungeons at all. They remember the leveling ones, right? That you go through and you have to level through if you're trying to level a character, you're not just buying a boost. But the level 50 dungeons, it's a wash. Some people go into them, some people, and they've changed it now. But yeah, this dungeon, it didn't feel 100%. It's weird calling it a dungeon because it's really just, in the end, with the savage part of it, it's just a multi-phase raid boss. That's it. Right?
Yes. Yeah.
It's like an ultimate light, easy mode ultimate, I guess. Because you get little breaks in between, sort of, but you still have to be pushing it. Like, you get a little bit of breathing room, but at the same time, you can't just stop. You have to keep moving and killing stuff.
I think that was... Oh, you go, Alice.
I think it's just comparable to, like, Ultimate Weapon Ultimate in terms of difficulty, to be honest. Because generally that fight is pretty easy execution-wise nowadays. But it's just like it's just long, so it's easy to make a mistake.
Jeez, 24 minutes though. Do you guys feel like that was the right time, like right time frame, or should it be like longer or shorter?
I think it was a good time frame because, despite like the bosses themselves are kind of fairly static as to how long they are, but you can save a lot of time by just chain pulling, basically. Like, once you kill one thing, you immediately go to the next one, or you wait like maybe a GCD or two for a heal. Because I mean, the very first time we enraged, it was at like 17%, and we were like waiting for cooldowns in between pulls. So we realized, okay, let's just chain pull, and we can make up a lot of time.
I'm pretty sure EPS they like waited for cooldowns before the last boss some pull, and then like I think it enraged at 0.1% or something. That is a miserable experience. Bad to guess.
Yeah. I mean, I feel 24 minutes is like perfect, to be honest with you, for some reason, just because it gives you that little cushion time there to like breathe. But when this is fully optimized and people have like the best jobs and everything mapped out 100%, I'm guessing it's not going to be a 24-minute fight, right?
Yeah.
How long do you think, like, this... I don't know. It's really hard to predict right now. How optimized can we get this dungeon, right? And how quick can it be done? It's kind of an odd question because there's a lot of variables to figure out.
We're talking about speeds. I don't know. Maybe 21 minutes.
21 minutes? Okay.
21 minutes, maybe.
21 might be right. Right now, fastest kill on, I think it's the fastest kill on Savage I see that I can see is 21 minutes and 49 seconds. So I don't know how much faster you can actually get than that, because I feel like when we cleared, like it was like what 23 minutes almost exact, and I cannot remember like too much left to optimize. So I can't imagine. Maybe 21. Maybe Yoka's right with 21.
Okay. Do you think people are going to speedrun this and try to like get? Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, definitely.
Okay.
There will be a niche community for sure.
Yeah.
That will speedrun this.
If there's something to be speedrun, people will speedrun it.
That's true.
Yeah.
People who speedrun dungeons, normal dungeons. So, I can see that happening. And it's not like
Need
it's
to farm materia.
Yeah, farm material. How'd you guys feel about that reward?
Oh boy, we're gonna talk about this. Okay.
Yeah. How'd you guys feel about that, huh?
Is anyone going to be surprised by what we say?
I mean, I don't know. What should they be offering? Maybe that's a good talking point here. What do you feel like is valid for a reward for this dungeon?
Some silver.
Some silver.
There's not
Yeah.
even any silver. I don't
Yeah,
understand
they
why.
should have gave us at least the 4 silver from normal mode at the very least,
There's
or
nothing.
maybe some more.
Yeah.
More than 4, maybe.
I
Okay.
actually thought about it. So Heaven on High actually gives like an accessory for each clear you get, for a total of 4 accessories. And once you get those 4, you can actually get a mount. And I thought something similar to that would actually be quite nice for like a Savage reward, because it's not just like you get a materia or an earring; it's you get a set of accessories and you can get a mount as well. Like I think that's perfect reward.
Okay. Okay.
I
Yeah.
think in terms of design, it almost feels like they intended for the Savage to be run once or maybe twice if you're helping someone else, right? And because there really isn't much in the rewards, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, and I feel like they put a lot of focus on the normal dungeons, and I feel like that's what they were hoping people would run again and again and again, compared to the Savage. And Savage is sort of something, once you've run it a lot, you can go do Savage, get your title, and maybe call it a day.
Thinking about it, I mean, how hard was it to create Savage for this? They just made the ads a little difficult and then put a timer on there and they're like, done.
Yeah, literally just pump up the values.
Yeah. So I guess that's actually, it makes sense that they would focus on the normal mode here. I feel like there should have been something like I don't know. Maybe something you can sell on the market board. Right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess on that, I doubt the mount drops in Savage.
Yeah. You don't get a chest, do you? There's no chest at the end.
Oh, is there
You
a
get a
chest?
chest. No, there's
Oh,
a
you
chest.
do?
You get the book,
Oh.
the manuscript from the chest.
Oh, okay. So maybe, I don't know. Maybe you can, but
I mean,
who
you can
knows?
on the normal dungeon, pray the mount
It should
drop.
be guaranteed. Why is it not guaranteed from Savage?
Well, that's not ridiculous.
I mean, that makes
Actually,
sense to me.
I guess at that point you could probably farm it once you get good at it. So maybe
And that's
not.
okay. What it does is it saturates the market, but it'll hit a limit, right? It'll hit a point to where, all right, well, is it worth it to do it or not do it? And then the market will balance itself out, supply and demand. It's fine. That's fine.
I guess.
But yeah, that was probably the most disappointing thing. The ending of Savage, it felt so disappointing. Again, no cutscene. Just you completed it. Here's the materia. Bye. See you later.
I think
Go ahead.
it would have been nice if they put maybe 620 or 625 gear after, for like maybe doing normal a few times, or maybe after the Savage. I don't know. I don't think you want it after the Savage, but maybe for normal, maybe a little bit of gear. I think would have been fine. People who are doing Savage are going to be biz. People who don't are buying tome gear and stuff. They'll all be 620 anyway. So maybe 625 would be nice for them.
So here's the thing. People who are doing normal Savage content and they're not done with normal Savage content, or they're still working on it, are not going to do Savage Dungeon. I promise. They'll do normal Criterion Dungeon, but I don't think anyone in their right mind is insane enough to go back and try to do the Savage one, unless if they're just like really, really bored and they want a challenge, right? That's pretty much it. If they put that gear in there, they probably already have gear from somewhere else, I would think. Maybe not. Maybe you could farm. If you could farm it, maybe you could farm some of your alts up a little quick, but then it's still slightly worse than best in slot. Is it worth it?
I mean, it gives something for players to do. So I think at the very least that's nice, and it gives players an alternative.
Mm-hmm.
But just having a tiny earring is, anticlimactic.
What if they made it to where you'd get like an extra book token or something for Savage that you could go in and just expedite it once a week? You could get an extra book, and you could expedite getting some of your gear that way. I mean, maybe for like the really good players who want to like gear up their alt jobs and stuff, that could be good. But I just don't know, man.
I mean, I'd do it.
Yeah. I mean, the thing about having a weekly lockout thing is it's kind of nice to not have a weekly lockout because you don't feel like rushed to do it. Like as from like a non-racing point of view, like you don't have to rush to do Savage Criterion. You can kind of do it whenever you want because you're not losing anything by not doing it instantly.
It's true.
But yeah, like I guess if they're to do something like that, it would be a nice reward. But I don't know, like the pros versus the cons if it outweighs. It does feel underwhelming though, like just getting a material. But yeah, I don't know.
That was the biggest complaint from the community, right? It's just fix the reward, and then most people would be happy with the content.
Yeah.
Okay. Let's see. Yeah, I guess I should ask this too. Like, again, nothing happened. Like, no extra boss, no extra mechanics or anything. Do you guys think there should be something else with Savage? Like, does it have a place there, or is just rehashing it and having a little bit more difficult mobs and a little bit buffed H peoples seem right?
I think I can understand where they're coming from, like with how they have it implemented, because this is the first time that a dungeon, like really hard stuff for dungeons, format content has been out. So I think that they're honestly just kind of, testing it out, and I think that's fine. I think next time there's probably going to be some extra stuff, like there's going to be maybe a difference in Savage mechanics, or there's going to be an extra boss. And I think that's fine to not have it now, as long as they can, play test things, get a general feel of the community, if they like it, if they don't like it. I think the reaction's been pretty positive overall. So I'm guessing next time we get a Criterion Savage, there's going to be some changes.
I don't know. I'm like on the opposite side. I think there's no way they're ever going to add extra stuff to it, because I'm like, just the pain it would involve. But anyways, everyone else, I'll let you guys talk about it too.
I don't think I'm with Yoko on this. I think it's fine if they keep it how it is. It sort of gives you, for me, it gives me the perspective of like, imagine if we had the ultimate race and you could do checkpoints, right? How much faster would you actually kill the boss, right? It's sort of like that. It gives people, I think it gives the community a nice look into what it might look like doing an ultimate, except you get these checkpoints. You can practice it along the way. And then you can go in and actually try it. Because I feel like that really is the comparison here. They call it Savage, but it really does feel like a long ultimate.
Yeah. They were 100% wrong calling Criterion equal to Extreme, I think. I don't think that Extreme's a proper representation of normal Criterion at all. But, I don't know. Alice, what are you thinking, man? Do you want extra mechanics in Savage?
That sounds like a lot of effort. To be honest, and I'm actually not taking the game too seriously anymore after this, because I gotta focus on IRL. I have a job coming up, so
Congrats.
don't have time to race. But yeah, it kind of sucks, but that's life. I'll probably be back in the future for racing, but
PTO, dude.
So I mean, I don't really feel like my opinion is too valid on this, because people who enjoy playing the game will probably want more.
Oh, damn.
It's not that I hate the game. It's just like right now I don't really play it that much.
He's a machinist player.
People who enjoy playing the game. All right, cool, Alice. I'm glad.
Just being honest.
Alice is like waking up and the team's like, "Hey, you want to do Criterion Savage?" He's like, "Fuck." Well, bro, I mean, all right.
That actually
Patches I got, man. Now I got to download shit.
I agreed to it before I knew I was gonna get this job, so
okay.
And then I was basically like, okay, I'm gonna have to stop after this. But I actually feel like I didn't play well at all in Criterion. But I played my best. Like I really did try my best, but I have to feel a bit bad about that, because I think we could have done it even faster.
I think we all feel that way.
You guys, just to let you know, you cleared it. The unknown content, you guys were able to clear it first before anyone else, and that's a whole nother like fucking thing, right? being able to go into content where you have no understanding of exactly what it's going to look like, but still being able to piece it together and figure it all out, that's amazing. So I wouldn't sell yourself short, Alice.
Well, it's not that. It's just
yeah.
like we could have done better in normal if I had played better. Because
Okay.
that was when the prog was basically over. So that's more what I mean than the savage.
Okay. Ah, Jesus Christ. I don't know why that's so funny to me. Alice, I hope you enjoy the game again one day. I really do.
I didn't say I hate the game. I didn't say that.
That's true. It's just that, like, people who enjoy it are different than you in opinion. That's true. That's fine.
The fizz range debuff.
Oh gosh, you know what? Let's talk about jobs and roles a good bit here, because this is actually a really good point. Is that they tried to make it work out well with a few changes. How do you feel about what they did with the dungeons and jobs and roles to try to balance it out and make it kind of fair to bring in, or at least closely try to figure out how to make it fair to bring in whatever you want it to? Didn't work out.
We can talk about our party comp then.
Yeah, let's talk about it.
All right. We were thinking before, because we didn't even know that they're going to buff our DPS classes. So we based our initial party comp off of a DPS. So we took things like Machinist and we took things like Samurai. I was initially going to go Sage because, you know, a DPS chain is not as strong when there's only 4 people. But ultimately I swapped Scholar because it was more of a comfort pick. I can let Alice and Iggy talk about why they chose Machinist and Samurai if they want.
I guess I'll go first.
No, Alice, you go.
I don't know if he's busy or whatever, but yeah, like Yoko said, the choice to go Machinist was just because we didn't know that they were going to buff our DPS classes, which they did. I don't know how big the buff is, obviously, even now, but it was just that. It was just like, this class is good on its own. It's just not good in the current state of 8-man content. But we know it's strong, and it will be strong in 4-man. And it doesn't have dots. It doesn't care about when we're pulling or songs like Bard. Doesn't rely on another player like Dancer. So we just figured it was a strong pick. That's basically it.
That makes sense. Iggy?
With Samurai, it felt like almost a no-brainer for me, just because like the buffs it has, that, you know, the self buffs it has with each mob, it's a 60-second buff and it can carry through to, you know, each mob every time you pull a new pack. It didn't really have any issues with downtime either. Like, it was just a very adjustable melee. Like, it was very easy to flex on it as well to different positions. Like, it was just very easy to play.
Okay. Ken, you want to talk about tank?
Yeah. So I did the normal mode on Paladin. It was pretty good, but I found myself struggling a bit with mechanics because I'm not like very comfortable on Paladin.
Okay.
It's definitely like it's literally my least played tank. So yeah, when we switched to Savage, I just decided to go Gunbreaker, and in retrospect, that is probably like the worst tank in Savage, because basically like Gunbreaker has a very strict rotation, and if you have any downtime, your cartridges become messed up, and you have to like catch up by like delaying your No Mercy or like using your Bloodfest not in your 2-minute window or something. So yeah, I made the wrong choice, but it was mostly comfort pick, honestly, and it worked out. So yeah, I think if I was to go again, I'd probably play like Paladin. I think Paladin's probably my top pick if I had to pick one.
So
But,
what would you guys say, like, knowing everything that you know now with the fight, that the best probably comp to run this content is? I guess one for prog, right? What's the best prog comp? Then one for actually speedrunning and clearing it.
prog for healer, I feel like shield healer is, it's very hard to argue that it's not the best. And I'm a little biased because I'm a scholar main, but I feel like the amount of like crit deploying just allows you to cheese some mechanics, or at the very least allows you to fail some mechanics but not die. And I think that was actually very, very valuable and helped a lot and saved quite a bit of pools. I actually tested out broils. Sage does around 12 to 13k doses. Scholar does around 12k broils. So it's about like a 20% increase in broil potency for some reason, just in Criterion. I think regen healers are good as a comfort pick, but when you're progging it, shield healer just allows you to get away with more stuff.
Okay. I guess Alice, Iggy, do you guys want to talk about DPS? What do you think would be the best options?
I think our choices were good.
They're perfect,
Like,
any situation.
yeah, for prog, yeah, I think we made the right decision. Just because, like I said, Dancer just loses if your partner dies, and in prog it's just gonna happen. And then Bard has a lot to deal with in terms of songs, and the more you miss a line, the more you get punished. So I just don't think it's a good pick for this type of content specifically, though. Like, because we're going through mobs and stuff, it's difficult to align.
Okay. And Iggy, you'd agree with that?
Yeah, I agree with that. I think one of the main reasons we actually decided to bring a fizz ranged over, like, say, a summoner was for the extra crowd control, which didn't end up mattering in the end. Like, initially, when we first discussed our team comp going into this Criterion dungeon, we were thinking, oh, we might need the extra interrupt that, fizz range provide, or their binds or slows or whatever that might matter in certain pieces of content in FF, but it didn't end up happening in the Criterion. So, but it still kind of worked out just because Machinist is strong in like 4-man content. If you would just look at its damage in any sort of dungeon run, it does a lot. So, yeah.
Okay. So congratulations on figuring that out and picking the right job set. Do you feel like there's going to be certain jobs that are completely locked out of this content? No.
Probably not.
Like, obviously we don't know what the damage bonus actually looks like. I didn't look. I don't really care to look, but I'm sure like it's fine. I'm pretty sure every job it will be perfectly fine.
Okay.
Yeah, I think this is a hot take. I think most of the community disagrees with me on this, but I think job balance is actually really good right now. Like people say Machinist is below average. People say Reaper's below average, but I think that's talking in terms of speeds, in terms of high variance, low variance. But I think most jobs are going to do completely fine. And picking Machinist and Samurai, right? Picking jobs that don't have raid buffs, to say, right? Then the rest of the party, Yoko and Snail here, don't have to worry about lining up with them as much, right? Everybody can sort of just go at their own pace, right? My buff is coming up, I can go.
Yeah. That's actually a really good point. And so you don't have to, it removes a level of coordination, I guess, with everything. All right. Well, the other thing, I do want to know, have you guys gone into Variant a good bit after cleaning the stuff? And do you feel like pretty good about the content they did with that?
It's pretty cool. Like, we went in and we did all the different, well, I don't know if it was all of us, but some of us went in and did all the variants. We did all 12 of the, I don't know what they are, the little pips on the interface. But yeah, it was cool. I think the secret boss is really cool too. He actually had some cool mechanics, I think. But yeah, good content for like just the casual player base, I guess. I think.
I think Variant worked out pretty good, and then groups that want like a challenge can go in Criterion normal and just ignore Savage like it doesn't exist, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Unless you're just masochistic. You're really, really bored. That's the only reason I could think about doing that. I guess I want to ask. I mean, we've talked about a lot of this in general and just overall. Is there anything that you would, besides rewards, change about the content to make it better for the next iteration of this?
I think you should have to see all the mechanics to kill the boss.
Okay.
Like it just takes away from the overall experience, I feel. But I think they'll learn from that. People might disagree with that opinion, but I do think that should be a given.
All right.
It's weird because they just like increased their HP in Savage like slightly so that you had to see all the mechanics basically.
Mm-hmm.
So I mean they could just leave them at the same HP on both Savage and normal, but I don't know.
Yeah, you increase the HP for Savage, or for the Savage HP, leave that as in the normal mode. Maybe that would be okay. Yeah. Okay. I guess that was maybe that was the gotcha at the end, right? For Savage, they're like, "Huh, you thought you knew it, but if you were actually good at playing the game and did good DPS,
Yeah, it's an extra mechanic."
So maybe that is the bonus, unexpected part. Jeez. Hey man, I say this, I feel like a boomer, so I'm not gonna say it. I was gonna talk about back in Heaven's Ward rating.
Whoa! Me and Iggy are Heaven's Ward Raiders.
Okay. I was a person who on, I think it was A11S, with Cruise Chaser, the towers. I kept all those towers up for like a full rotation of his mechanics and made him restart his mechanic rotation, so we wouldn't immediately wipe because we were just so slow that we saw literally everything this boss could do. The same thing with A12S. We saw every last mechanic. So that fight was so much harder for us because we sucked at DPS and we had to go through every set of the mechanics. And the other groups would just like skip like the real difficult parts at the end.
Yeah, in A12, you saw all 3 puddles at the end. You would just have like no cooldowns left for healers, for tanks.
And I play
just
Paladin.
Dead to the bleed. It was just, you just see the entire party just like holy bleed go out, and the entire party drop dead because you have nothing left.
Yeah. Oh god, those were the days, man. Oh, back in my day. Jeez. Okay. We already talked about rewards a good bit here. Hey, I do want to talk about this in the sense of World Race again. We talked about it a couple of times. Do you think a lot of groups now seeing what it is will actually go into competing in the next couple iterations of this, or do you think it would be about the same as it was for this one?
I think a lot of people will. There will be a discrepancy between people that only do the normal mode and those that want to do Savage as well. And I think either is totally fine because like most people will do blind prog for the experience more than I want to say success. Obviously you're trying to win, but if you skip out on blind prog, you just miss that experience of a new mechanic and how to approach it. So I think they will just because of that.
So you think there's going to be like a difference between the people who want to just clear normal and the people who want to clear Savage as well and be the first to clear Savage? Like there'll be a handful of groups that currently race in Savage and Ultimate that would stop a little early because they don't care as much as getting world first as they do about seeing the mechanics before there's guides and strategies out there.
No, it's more so what I meant is like your prog is done when you finish the regular Criterion. Once you've figured out all those mechanics, your prog is done. That's how they'll feel, which is totally fair, I think.
Do you feel like there should be some level, like by the way, tracking this, I had no fucking clue how to figure, like how I was supposed to track this, right? If I was supposed to do it by boss or how, there's just no way to keep up with it. In the end, it was just who cleared normal and who cleared Savage. And there's just two checkpoints there. So it's a little bit, that's the only way I could figure out how to make sense of it. And it's almost like there's two senses of world first here the first team to figure out all the mechanics and clear it first, and then there's who is the most consistent group and has the endurance to clear Savage as well immediately after. Would you say that's probably true?
Yeah, that is what I think.
Okay.
I think that's what we experienced actually, because Kindred got first in normal mode by like an hour over us.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
we were able to keep our consistency up, and we cleared Savage first.
Yeah, because there were still a lot of groups going to Savage, and they were still trying to clear it really quick, but they just weren't able to keep up that consistency with those pools and everything else. Like I was watching Ice's and Horror Glory's channel, and you know, as soon as they get into Savage, they start wiping to the gerbil over and over and over and over again. And you know, that's kind of sad at that point, but it was really, it made it fun because of how intriguing it was to consider how different this race is in general. But do you feel, so you think that there's going to be tons of groups out there that at least want to get the Criterion normal, but then there will be a buffer for Savage just because, I don't know. It's hard to say because it is technically only maybe a couple more hours, right? So why not just stick out those couple more hours and try to clear Savage?
Yeah, because like if you're gonna race this, whatever that is to them, you probably took off the whole day. So
Yeah.
I don't know. I would think you should just go for Savage as well.
Okay. Well, we'll see, man. I don't know. I don't even know what it looks like in the next few ones. I feel like in the next handful of the dungeons, it's going to be a 5 to 6 hour race is what I would put it at. I can't imagine it taking 9 again. I mean, maybe it will. Maybe they'll try to really hard and try to get some gotchas in there and everything else. Because technically, you have 2 more world races outside of these events too, right? You have Ultimate, which maybe will come up in 6-3. That's our expectation, right? He's hinted very, very much so that it will be, but they haven't put that hard confirm in there yet.
Yeah, it's a little weird.
Yeah. What did he say during whatever that 14-hour broadcast, like where he was in the game and talking to players with the Q&A? He's like, I don't know why people are wondering if there is one in 6-3 or 6-5 or whatever. You know, there's going to be another one, but I don't think it'd be as late as 6-5. When the fuck else would it be if it's not 6-5, right?
He was like,
Yeah.
oh, I don't know why people aren't saying there's not going to be another one. It's not going to be in 6-5 or as late as 6-5. But it's like,
we don't think we'll delay it till 6-5. Where the fuck else would you delay it to, right?
Like, it hasn't even announced yet. It's like, what's going to happen?
It felt weird he didn't just say 6-3. Maybe he just didn't want to announce it yet or something. I don't know. Jesus Christ. It makes it very difficult for me, man, because the last Ultimate was a week long.
Yeah.
That's a lot to plan for production-wise to try to get something together for a race. Man, yeah, I guess they could. I can't even imagine them putting it really late into the patch either, making it that much closer to a Savage, right? They would still have to do it like a month after the patch is released. There's just no other place to put it. I don't know. We'll see. Are you guys excited for 6? Well, except for Alice, right? Are you guys excited for Ultimate coming up?
Yeah. I think all of us are excited.
Do you know, I know we're going a little off topic, but we are talking about the race and everything, and you guys this is all stuff that's really close to you. I am curious about it as well. Are you all expecting just Omega Ultimate?
I'm not expecting Omega.
Really?
No.
Okay.
I think I'm expecting Warring Triad.
You're thinking Warring Triad?
Yeah, that's on the top
Yeah.
of my list.
I don't
feel
even
like
know what
Omega's
that would
too
look
soon.
like. Right? Do they all merge into one big boss at the like this
Yeah, I
crazy
don't know.
looking manifestation of all 3 of them together?
I mean,
Pretty
they might
cool.
even curveball and throw Shinru Zeno at us.
No, yeah.
Oh, that makes sense, kind of, because it's like same part of the story, right? or maybe not. Well,
Yeah, it's weird. Because Shinryu, I think, would fit with Omega in some way, because they were fighting and battling, right? That's part of the lore and all this stuff.
yeah.
So I can
yeah.
kind of see them being grouped together. The Warring Triad, I don't know. I'm trying to think of what that would even... it makes sense. You have 3 bosses. You have the different phases, right? As you do with Ultimates a lot of times. But I just don't know what the end part of that could look like.
Personally, I just don't want it to be Omega because 1, I don't get to do it, and 2, they can make that fight like incredible, and I don't think enough time has passed that they're able to do that.
Yeah.
I'm interested to see if they can one up DSR. That was a good fight.
They can't.
Yeah.
I literally don't think it. I think they hit their peak and they're done.
Yeah.
Right? I'm sorry, everybody looking at my camera. It's freaking out for some reason. I don't know why. Every once in a while it blinks and goes weird. It's all right. I'm an AI anyways. I don't really exist. Someone generated me a long time ago and made the most predictable, boring content creator, and that's literally what you're looking at now. But no, with this, DSR was so perfect, but they had so much time to work on it and perfect it and get it all lined up. I mean, I've said this kind of stuff before. Like, I just don't know how they could surpass doing content like that, and then they do it. But I really just don't believe they can this time. They can't.
We'll see.
I mean, sure. I don't think it'll take a week though. It'll probably be a 3 to 5 day ultimate, maybe. Right? That's kind of where I'm thinking it'll land.
Yeah.
Because like, yeah,
I
sure.
mean, I'm thinking about this cycle.
Yeah.
In terms of how DSR is, it's I find that it's very similar to how UCOB is with trios.
Mm-hmm.
Like each phase is kind of its own trio. I'm thinking Uwu will be similar, or sorry, next ultimate will be similar to Uwu in terms of how the progression is related. Like maybe it's related to unlocking things or discovering secrets about the bosses. So I'm thinking that'll take a little less time because once you figure out said secret, then you'll kind of just know how it progresses rather than a pure mechanical check.
Lore puzzles.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. Gotcha. We'll see a couple of cats roaming around or something, and everybody will start freaking out. Jesus, man, that I don't know if any other game. Maybe they do. Maybe there are other MMOs out there that like do fights like Ultimate that are just so well executed, but I can't think of them. I don't know. Maybe someone in chat knows about it, but Jesus Christ, they put so much work into these things. The art, the music, just the thought and how the mechanics play out and what is actually happening in the fight and how that relates to lore. I don't know, dude.
DSR was incredible.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Jesus Christ. And I think that was the biggest ultimate we've had in like terms of like people watching it and wanting to look at it. Maybe not just like on the world race side, but like there's channels doing over 20,000 people watching them do this, right?
Yeah.
It's just crazy. It was crazy. All right. So let's see. The other thing. Oh, okay. So let's just imagine this is now part of the world race cycle. We now have Savage to start off the expansion, right? Then we have Ultimate. We would expect to patch after that. Then another Savage. Then maybe another Ultimate. And then they would just start sprinkling in these in the middle of those somewhere after Savages. Like, where does this content really fit in the patch cycle? Because right now it's in an awkward spot where they kind of threw it in here, and then they're maybe going to throw some more at the very end. But naturally, if they're going to keep doing this throughout an expansion cycle, where would it be best placed?
Where was if you remember, where was Delubrum in the patch cycle?
That was near the end. That was wasn't that?
Was that 5-5? Or 4-5?
I think it was 5-5, right?
Yeah, I think it was 5-5. So that was the very, very end.
Yeah, and the Eureka, BA was like 5.5.2 as well, wasn't it?
Yeah, it
Or
was
not
at the very
5.5,
end.
but like 4.5, right?
Yeah, it was at the end somewhere.
Yeah.
That's the other reason I have mixed feelings about this content, is because I really enjoy BA and Delubrum, and I was hoping they would do another one for this expansion, but now like it's pretty much off the table, I think.
No, they're gonna cut Ultimate, dude. So here's the thing: they'll have 2 Ultimates, right? And then at the end, they'll do like I think a large scale. That would be my guess, right? 2 Ultimates.
I'm okay with that.
Then 1 large scale at the very end of an expansion like that, to kind of play it out. And I'm guessing perfect, scenario situations. And then maybe they could throw, one of these dungeons around that large scale at like a 5.5 or whatever, and they could throw 1 kind of where they have it now, and then just have 2 of these Criterion dungeons expansion.
Yeah, I was thinking about the scheduling, right? Because even
Yeah.
patches savage. Wait, yeah, even patches are savages. Odd patches are ultimates. Maybe maybe they're not there, but
Mhm.
it has to be like X5 patches that they put these Criterion dungeons in, and they're not that long, right? They're a day.
Mm-hmm.
If they're too close, right, you start stealing days off from those, and people are going to get unhappy.
Mm-hmm.
So it really is hard to say where they should put it, I think.
Yeah, and I guess the other thing, right, that if they want to go on other content like Palace of the Dead is the other kind of challenging content they have out there. It's not group challenging, it's solo challenging, though. So it's kind of in its own little weird... I mean, I guess there is some group challenge to it, but not to this scale, I would think, right? Palace of the Dead is kind of like...
It's fun as a group.
It's
but
fun as a group, but I wouldn't...
The real challenge is solo, yeah.
Yeah, the real challenge comes down to solo for those things. And so I can't imagine that content interfering with this kind of challenging release content. I feel like there needs to be this... Here's a schedule for all the stuff that's like really difficult, takes like a lot of time to actually get it cleared, and then they sprinkle in all this other stuff in there like Palace of the Dead, Island Sanctuary, which is going to come out, and they have to make maps for that stuff too, right? So how do you guys feel about Island Sanctuary? I might as well ask this group of wonderful people about Island Sanctuary.
I got to rank 10 and then I stopped doing it. I mean, it's fun. I mean, it's fun for a while, but yeah, I kind of just stopped doing it after I maxed out the rank personally.
Yeah. I don't have the energy to like even teleport to the docks to go there. I was like, I don't care enough to go do it. And my little sheep, who's the only thing that I have in my farm, just sits there just being unfed forever.
Yeah. A lot of my friends, day 1, they grinded out to like rank 6 or something like that, and it's like, you guys, you're just chopping wood or like gathering materials for like
RuneScape
10
players.
hours straight. Yeah, it's like you're in RuneScape or something.
Yeah, world race for Island Sanctuary would be who could gather sand the fastest in a circle.
Yeah, that was a strat, right? You just go to the stream and just pick up sand.
Oh, jeez. And I wouldn't do it for Deep Dungeon either, because that's just RNG. That feels weird to do a world race based completely around RNG. I mean, it's not 100% RNG, but there's a lot of RNG in there that makes it kind of weird to consider that like a competitive race.
Yeah. Sometimes you just get rooms where you're just like, well, guess I'll die.
Yeah.
You get like 10 mimics in a room. It's like, okay. I guess my run ends here.
Yeah. Yeah, Criterion, like, I think this puts me at my limit for what we consider world race tracking. I think a lot of players might feel that way too. Like, there shouldn't be more than this, because there's only so much PTO that exists out there, right? Although all the companies are now doing this PTO whenever you want, unlimited PTO, but it's all fake, and they don't really. They're just like hoping you don't plan out 2 weeks because you have 2 weeks. They're just like, take off when you want, sorta, and it's fucking real life shit. All right, but yeah, I don't think there should be too much more out there that they need to add in for tracking world race stuff. I mean, if they had another 48 man, we'll get Chaos Group 1, Chaos Group 2, right? Figure out how to track that bullshit again. Random mass of people. It's so horrible. This one's a little bit easier. It's still weird because it's like just 4 people and no one's thinking of group names for their static 4, right? You guys did, but a lot of other groups were like, nah, especially the JP groups, they're like unnamed, 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 unnamed.
Yeah, I saw that on the spreadsheet.
Yeah.
Just a bunch of unnamed.
Mm-hmm.
We were almost group 2, just group 2.
Oh, yeah. I can imagine it.
Yeah.
And then a lot of statics were like, yeah, it's group A, group B, random stuff like that. I don't know. It was fun. I'm glad it happened. I'm glad we have this content in here. I'm excited to see what that kind of looks like going forward. Obviously, you guys liked it. I know, Ken, every time I look at the stream directory, I see you in there.
Yeah, it's
like
fun.
you live in there now.
I like going in the party finder. It's an experience.
Oh my god, what does the party finder look like for this?
Actually not bad. I've gotten quite a few clears just like with random people in party finder. So like, obviously like mostly duty complete. I did a couple clear parties though. But yeah, I mean the thing that's good about this for party finder is like there's not very much variation in the mechanics, except for like I guess the 4 palm mechanic on the hamster. It can be kind of bad sometimes because like there are some ways you can like change like strats. There's like different strats for that one.
Mm-hmm.
But for the most part, it's pretty static. Like I guess the only other one is the portal, the Infernal Brand 3 on the last boss, the one where you teleport around. But yeah, everyone's for the most part has been doing this brain dead quote unquote strat where it's like you have the oranges go north and the blues go south. It's actually not that bad. I don't mind it. But yeah.
But it wasn't like the challenge you put in there. We put lots of thought into the mechanics and everything. All the kids are doing stupid stuff. They get it easy.
Oh yeah, the easy way out.
Yeah. No. Well, man, that's actually a lot to talk about with Criterion Dungeons. I'm trying to think of what else we could really go into it with it, but I mean, I think we hit pretty much most of it. Do you guys have any other thoughts on the content?
I liked it, and I think there should be more of it. I think it's really healthy for the game.
It's good. I think it is too. Yeah. It gives groups something else to do without having to have a full static, right?
Yes.
Any other thoughts? You guys are like, whatever. It's there. It's a game, guys.
It's fun. I enjoyed it. I mean, it was good from like a blind perspective. Like the mechanics were actually like pretty fun to figure out. So it's like good practice for like the real race, quote unquote.
The real race, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, the real race.
Man, I'm just gonna let you guys know the next Ultimate race is going to be ridiculous. It's at least from my end, it's going to be pretty insane from the stuff that I'm looking into right now. But like, we'll see. I wish we had a date. You know, it's so hard to get shit done without just literally giving some level of date. We're maybe 2 months out, or 3-ish. I guess we're closer to 3-ish months out, right? Because you got to give like a 4 weeks or something. But it still would be nice if I could properly plan stuff and not just put a whole bunch of work into something that's going to be waiting another, I don't know where they would put it. Yeah. Maybe it'd be an expansion.
I'd like to see them support the game in that sense more.
Yeah.
But I don't know. It doesn't seem like it's going to happen.
Wow. This has been a crazy year so far, too. Like, I guess we're not going to have another world race for the rest of the year, right? That's it. We could probably confidently say that. We started off with, like, the Savage, the started expansion. Super hype Savage, just because there's so much attention on the game at that time. Then we had arguably one of the best ultimates in the game. It's hard to, like, compare some of them, but yeah, I would say 100% it's top tier ultimate. Then we had another Savage that worked out good. So we had 3 races. Now we're on our 4th. It was a little mini race, but we've had 4 races. And the expansion before this, we went a whole fucking year with literally nothing.
Yep.
So it is weird. There's just so much, so much to do. This whole expansion, and I hope it keeps up like this. Oh, you know what? I should ask you this. Just out of curiosity, are you guys going to go to a fan fest?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I will be.
Hopefully, maybe.
Think.
Okay. Like a half.
Not for me.
No.
Not yet. Maybe next year.
Why,
I just
why
really
would
like to
you
know
do
when the
that?
tickets are on sale.
Yeah, it depends on how the tickets go, of course. But I mean, I don't know. It's literally one of the best experiences for anyone who's involved in Final Fantasy 14 more, to just logging in once a month or so. It's a ton of fun. But you'll change your mind, Ken.
Oh, I'm not against going there. I just don't have the funds, So
No, it's
maybe next year.
well, okay. Next year, it's like next 2 to 3 years, man. This,
Oh,
you know,
okay.
it's not
Sorry.
like it's gonna happen this coming up summer. Then the next time it'll happen will probably be 2 to 3 years after that.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
So, you miss it.
Sorry,
dude.
I'm a new player. I don't know how how fan fests go, but yeah.
All right. All you got to do is put on a tracker on your stream and say, "Hey, pay for my fan fest stuff." And it's done, right?
Yeah, could do, yeah.
True.
All right. Well, we can go ahead and start wrapping up and everything. I mean, this has been a lot of fun, and I appreciate all you guys. Not just with this, but in other world races and everything else. I know we've used point of views from the teams you guys have been on, and it's definitely appreciated. You guys always do really, really well. So thanks for that too. And I'm excited to see. Maybe Alice won't be here. I don't know what he's doing. He's fucking mystery, I guess. But it's exciting to see what you guys could do for the Ultimate coming up as well. But yeah, I guess we could do a round robin, last words, everything. Anything you want to say to whoever, shout outs. If you want to say, hey, come find me here, hey, come find me here, and all that stuff. We'll go in the same order here. Yoku, you want to go first? Yuku?
Sure. You can find me on Twitter at YokoSuki. Or, my Twitch is right here. You can ask me any scholar questions or whatever. I'm a healer main. Shout out to my team for bringing home the world first.
Okay, that's fair.
You can find me at my Twitter, Lyle_Varia, and I mean, I'm welcome to DM me on Discord too. I think it's Lyle #2115. Feel free to DM me about supporting Ninth Man. I think a lot of people are starting to get a lot more interested in that aspect of racing, and I think a lot of teams are starting to also grow interest in having these people and how they might interact or integrate into team dynamics and all of that.
Mm-hmm. And I'm going to say this real quick, just quick segue, or not segue, but interruption in the shoutouts and everything. I'm going to get you guys those fucking mats. So give me those rugs. I'll get them out. I didn't have 5, so I'm so sorry. I only have 4. But we'll get them out as soon as we can, and I expect lots of Twitter posts on those as well. I just had an opportunity where I had access to getting these, and I wanted to give something to the people who are doing World Race stuff. I figured it'd be fun to do it. So they're coming. I'm working on it. And I want to say sorry real quick to Lyle, just because I know there wasn't a 5th one in there. It's hard.
That's okay.
When I'm thinking about incentives and I'm thinking about how we can kind of promote this stuff going forward in the future and everything, you kind of have to focus on the players that are in the raid, and then because then you don't know how many people are in the background. You just don't.
1 person, 2 people, 5 people,
Yeah.
10 people.
I don't know. But anyway, sorry. Alice. Oh, go ahead. Sorry.
Yeah, I guess I'll just say thank you to you for everything you did with the race. It really inspired me to participate a lot more in that. Obviously, you can DM my Twitter there for any questions or whatever. Um, Shout out to all my friends and the ninth man for us. And during the race as well, I want to shout them out. Shabu, Brief, Akaya. They just did so much for our team and everything. So, yeah, that's it from me.
Okay. And of course, I love it, man. Ken?
Okay, my Twitter is RS I trolled you. It's a RuneScape, you know.
Oh, is that what it
reference,
is?
but, yeah. Used to stream RuneScape a lot, so yeah. And then Twitch is I trolled you. I stream every day except Sundays at 5 p.m. ESC. I usually stream for about 8 hours. I usually do like Party Finder and stuff. You might see me in the Party Finder if you're on Aether. But yeah, shout out to, you know, the whole team, the squad. Thank you to like Frosty for setting all this up. It's very, very nice to have the opportunity to, you know, prove ourselves and like have it be known. So
I've been watching you guys for a while now. Of course, you guys have been doing really great with the world race and everything. And I'm only here because you guys want this to exist, literally. That's it. You've willed it. Players have wanted, kind of willed it to happen. And I was just in a position to not race as well. And I just watched it, and it worked out because there's no fucking API in the Square Enix universe for Final Fantasy 14. And so you have to do all this stuff manually. And so I'm sadistic enough to want to watch Twitter and follow this stuff. So here we are today, guys. I do want to mention one thing about RuneScape, because I just remember I played a game called Tibia way back in the day. It's this real shitty MMO that still exists and it's still running, and it's insane because RuneScape was the other alternative MMO to play. It was like you're playing that, or if you were like in a little lesser known area, you'd play like the Tibia one. I've left that in the dirt though, and I have never turned back since like WoW. But every time someone says anything like RuneScape, it immediately gives me these PTSD flashbacks of playing this horrible overhead graphically miserable MMO. Anyways, and finish it off here, Iggy, if you don't mind.
Yep. Just wanted to shout out the whole team. Obviously, that includes the rest of DN as well, back when we did the Savage Race. Really thankful to especially the ninth men that Alice mentioned, Shavu, Akaya, Lyle here, and Brief. Thank you to Frosty for hosting this show. It's always great to have this kind of platform for everyone that, you know, participates in the World Race. Always appreciate it when you make those spreadsheets and stuff for everyone. Really appreciate that. I guess my Twitch is down there, and yeah.
And of course, thank you for that too, and thank you so much for trying out this guest star thing with me and seeing how it would work. It's still a little goofy. I think I might go back to Discord, just because I have a little bit more control over what's going on, and it has a better interface overall for that, or OBS Ninja or something. It's okay. It looks neat and everything, but you do lose a few features in it, I think. So I'll see how that works out. But yeah, thank you for doing that, and I do want to say thank you to all of you for coming on the show afterwards. It means a lot, because never know how the world race is going to go and who's going to get the world first, and if they're going to be like, yeah, I'll come on your show, or they'll be like, fuck you, Frosty, I hate you. And so never know. But it's really nice that you guys gave me the opportunity to let you come on here and talk about all this stuff, because I do really enjoy it, and it's a lot of fun. There are some people who do race that, like, if the world race happens, there's like a 50-50 chance they'll tell me to go kill myself, or they'll tell me they'll come on the show and do everything they can to ruin everything about the show.
What? That is
There's
crazy.
a few of them out there. I'm keeping my eye on them. See. But thank you guys for winning and coming on and providing a pretty cool show. It is awesome. And I guess last little bits here. Of course, you guys have seen this banner up here. We're sponsored by EveryPlate for this whole month. So if you guys want to sign up, you care about meal kits, !meal kit, or !EveryPlate. look into it, use those codes. It'll help the stream, and it actually does a lot of funding for the events that we put on. We have some cool stuff coming up. We have a couple of shows mapped out for the next few weeks. We'll see how that goes. We have one that I don't think it's next weekend. I'll have to look back at the schedule. Actually, it may be. We'll bring on DJs to the show, and we'll be exploring the world of Final Fantasy.
Oh no, we lost
DJs.
Frosty.
Yeah.
That's not good.
We lost him.
Oh, did you lose me?
Oh no.
Wait,
The
hold
stream
on.
fun?
Failed. Hold on. Can you guys see me?
Yeah, we can't
Oh,
see
the
you.
stream's
Oh,
fine.
now we can see
Oh,
you.
you're
Hello?
back. You're
Okay,
back.
you guys were there. You guys were there for
Oh.
me. I was like, why can you not hear me?
You
But
just disconnected for a minute on here.
yeah, I think that's
Yeah.
the guest star stuff. Twitch, figure your shit out,
Mhm.
man. No, I'm just kidding. But yeah, no, we're having possibly a DJ show next weekend where we're gonna explore that whole scene because it's huge. It's huge in Final Fantasy
Yeah.
14 right now.
Yeah.
If
I
you
bet.
look any Saturday, Friday, weekend night, even like weekday nights, you'll see like a ton of just like DJ streams back to back and like clubs and stuff. And I just want to dive into that and have a conversation about it. So we'll see that next week. And then, yeah, plenty of stuff, content coming up. Maybe we'll have some special events coming up in the winter time as well, just for fun. But the World Racers can kind of rest and just kind of sit back and watch for news of 6.3 in Ultimate and see how that works out. And with that all being said, we'll rate somebody here in a second just to send the viewers over. Thank you all for watching, and have a wonderful day. Everybody wave and say bye.
Thanks,
Yeah.
chat.
Thanks, chat.
Thanks, chat.